This kind of news always drops on a Friday. This time, the Canadian government hitting a new level of confiscation, private property confiscation, going right into the annals of Karl Marx with redistribution. That's right. They're going to take your property and give it away to Ukrainians. This isn't a new fight in Canada. Oh, ladies and gents, welcome back. We are talking about private property. This is a big deal in Canada. It's something that the government doesn't think is quite a big deal to private property owners in Canada, but this is the reality of the situation. It's been the slow burn of removing your rights to your own property. Of course, we're talking about firearms in this case, but we don't have to always be talking about firearms. This is the view of the government. This is David Lametti during the Freedom Convoy when he was talking about confiscating people's property.
You don't have an absolute right to own private property in Canada. There are steps that are taken when expropriations happen at whatever level of government, and we'll be sure to stay with.
And we'll be sure to stay within the boundaries of the law, but that's what they do. Now, we're talking about a government that is no longer popular. The democratic situation in Canada, the democratic process is no longer functioning, as we're being held hostage while Canadians really would like to see a new government and a new style of government. So at the last minute, we're seeing these last ditch efforts to confiscate, again, people's property. Now, this meme that Marty put on X really sums up the situation for firearms owners in Canada. Of course, that's it. Law-abiding citizens, they're the ones that are losing out on their right to own firearms. Of course, criminals don't obey the law. That's kind of part of being a criminal. But this is the breaking story now. Trudeau, you don't need a gun to protect yourself. Also, Trudeau, Ukrainians need guns to protect themselves. And that's where we're going with this. Now, here's the announcement that was made. This isn't Photoshop. This isn't doctored in any way. This is actually the announcement.
Today, the government is adding a further 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to the list of prohibited firearms in Canada. This prohibition takes effect immediately. This means these firearms can no longer be legally used, sold, or imported in Canada, and can only be transferred or transported under extremely limited circumstances. As part of that process, the government of Canada has committed to the Ukrainian government to identify whether some of these guns could be donated to support the fight for democracy in Ukraine.
That is unbelievable. So it's a redistribution scheme here is what we're looking at. They want to take your legally acquired property, stuff that you acquired legally, and they're going to add a whole new list of these firearms to this list of banned items. They're going to arbitrarily make it so you're no longer legal to own these. They're going to confiscate them, and then they're going to redistribute them to another region. That's correct. Not even citizens of this country. Now, Western Standard broke this story saying Trudeau Liberals to seize formerly legal guns from Canadians and give them to Ukraine. That's right. If you can't make this up. It's insane. Like, even fiction doesn't sound like this. Trudeau Liberals on Thursday said they plan to confiscate formerly legal guns and give them to Ukraine. It was part of a new raft of gun confiscation orders coming from the Justin Trudeau government. The total of 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms, in quotes. Define that, please. Define that. Well, no, it's not. There's no definition for that. So it's just arbitrary. So they're just gonna, it looks scary. So we're gonna add that to the list. It would be added to a list of prohibited firearms in Canada, announced Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc at a press conference Thursday afternoon. There is actually no such thing as an assault style firearm. There are automatic, semi-automatic, and single shot, and then varying degrees of of making it comfortable to use. I mean, ergonomics is a big thing. I mean, what are you going to have, assault style drills? You know, no, ergonomics is a great thing, and it stops people from injuring themselves. Now, of course, links in the description down below for all of these articles. Amazing Zoltan putting on there, we're confiscating your guns and we're giving them to far-right militia groups in undemocratic Ukraine for your safety and the greater good. Absolutely, that is the case. And what I want to add to this is, you know, what are we going to just give away a mixed bag of firearms with different calibers and different parts? No replacement parts or anything like that. We're going to put it into a war zone. You think that's going to help people in Ukraine, soldiers in Ukraine? This is the dumbest idea ever concocted when it comes to logistics of warfare. Talk to anyone who's ever worked in, or who's ever been in the military, perhaps in infantry or something like that. They wouldn't want a mixed bag of firearms. That would absolutely be awful for their situation over there. But this is a bunch of people who don't know the economy, they don't know economics, they don't know warfare, they don't know any of this stuff, and they're trying to pretend like they're doing that. John Flynn putting this out there: shame on the Liberal government and Justin Trudeau for taking away my daughter's favorite gun and confiscating even more firearms from law-abiding citizens when there's real criminals with illegal guns terrorizing our country. Call an election now. And here's, you know, a cute little girl enjoying with her dad the use of firearms. This is the use of firearms. It's absolutely wholesome. It's wholesome. And whoa, does that look scary to you? Does it look scary that what looks like to be probably a little 22 with hardly any recoil? I mean, it's just enough to get downrange and hit paper. But this is what we're talking about. Now, I'm going to get into a lot of these. There's a bunch of other speeches. There's a bunch of other interviews. There's a bunch of this stuff. I'm going to get into this tonight in the live stream because there's a whole lot to talk about, more than I can fill in a 10-minute video on YouTube. So tune in tonight. We're also going to be going over this interview. This one takes the cake. This is the new face of tyranny. I mean, you think of tyranny, you think of some brutal dictator. No, it's the meek. The meek will inherit the tyrannical throes of government. But this is Justin Trudeau a number of years ago proclaiming that he's never going to do this kind of thing. Big shout out to Colion Noir on YouTube for putting this video, making this available on his channel. He's a big advocate in the United States for maintaining firearms rights to the citizenry. Here's Justin Trudeau.
In here is that the first step towards registering your guns is just the first step towards taking away guns from everyone.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen because here in Canada we have a culture that has grown up with guns and that respects the need to go out into the wilderness and shoot things from time to time.
Now fast forward 10 years later and he's saying this.
Effective immediately. It is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country.
Military grade. I mean, I always hear that term, military grade. What about military spec? That's for people who, again, who know. That just means the cheapest, the cheapest price and good enough. That's all that means. But yeah, military grade. Now this is closer sounding to this Trudeau. This is the Trudeau we all sort of know
There's a
now.
level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say, we need to go green as fast as we need to start.
We need to take all the guns away. Yeah, that's that's the admiration that he has for China, and that's the reality of the situation. Trudeau says, Wrath of St. Michael's Sword. Great name, by the way. Trudeau, Canadians aren't allowed to protect themselves with guns. Also, Trudeau surrounds himself with a platoon of armed police and warfighters with automatic weapons and armed vehicles. No PM in history has ever had this level of protection needed. Why? Canadians don't want to disappear past PMs. Think about that. Now, I'd love to throw this out there. before you go taking firearms away from Canadian citizens, why don't you take them away from these guys and send those to Ukraine first? Perhaps these guys should be walking around with, I don't know, pepper spray, billy bats, just nothing at all. You know, why would you need firearms? You don't need firearms to protect yourself in Canada. Isn't that right, Justin Trudeau? I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'd love to hear you in the chat tonight in the live stream. I'm going to be talking about this particular topic tonight. There is so much to go over on this. Again, we're already, 10 and a half minutes into this video. So leave it there. Tune into the live stream at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. It'll remind you when I go live. But we're going to be talking about this and a few other stories. We'll see you then. Keep on trucking.